How did Beryl affect your members?
Oh, goodness gracious. From Clarendon to Negril, at least over a dozen of them right now, completely wiped out. Their infrastructure, so their greenhouses, their clone rooms, their plants themselves have been completely destroyed. And what we find currently right now is that there is a fungus island-wide. So when you look at the market right now, you have to, well, it's really similar to the Wild West. You have price ranges from, within the regulatory system, you have price ranges from maybe 300 to, well, 300, let's stick to Jamaican dollars. Mm-hmm. So maybe $30,000 a pound up to $450,000 a pound, depending on how it's cultivated and the quality and the strain profile, mm-hmm. right? Outside of the regulatory system, you find as low as, you find cannabis as low as 5,000 Jamaican dollars a pound, up to $120,000, $150,000 a pound, right?
So anyway, take it is significantly less oil, as you'd expect when it comes to that.
Right, but mm-hmm. then when you look at the global space, right, mm-hmm. global economy, if you look at Canada right now, you can get good quality ganja for $50 Canadian per pound, right? If you go down to South America, right, it's the same thing, right? And you have to look at the ganja industry similar to the alcohol industry. Right?
Also, yeah.
You have different types of wines, you have different types of beers, you have all different types of alcohol, right? And you have wine that sells for maybe $3,000 a bottle. And then you have the cheaper wine that you can probably spend $50 or $30 or $20 US on, right? And that's just based on, quality and, the maybe brand as well, right? Because brand has a big part to play mm-hmm. in your commodity, right? So the ganja industry right now is similar to any other industry, right? In terms of the fact that you have different qualities, you have different processes okay. that help to influence your end price, right? For your end product.
How did Beryl affect your members?
Oh, goodness gracious. From Clarendon to Negril, a lot of our members have been completely decimated, right?
Any numbers?
Numbers in terms of how many of them? Yes. Mm-hmm. At least over a dozen of them right now.
Just wiped out?
Completely wiped out. Their infrastructure, so their greenhouses have been destroyed. Their clone rooms, their plants themselves have been completely destroyed. And what we find currently right now is that there is a fungus island-wide that Beryl has brought. Because even some of my crops, mm-hmm. right, you see evidence of, lead spots, Septoria,
what's the name of
botrytis. Right?
What is the name of this disease?
Well, we've seen evidence of Septoria, right? Or you can just have fungus, right? Seen evidence of fungus, across the island. You see it in orchards.
What is the cost of the damage? To your members, if you are able to put any figure on that?
It's hard to put a figure on it, but you're looking at hundreds of millions of dollars, because one greenhouse,
$J?
Jamaican dollars, because one greenhouse can run you upwards of $10 million, $5 to $10 million. And you have a number of them that have been decimated.
What has representation been made to the authorities? Any assistance from the government, CLA ministry, anything?
So far, we haven't had any sort of intervention or significant intervention to say, okay, all right, you come, you do an assessment, and the assessment is done, right?
Is it the association or anybody individually has sought or made representation to them to say this is the problem and they get some help?
Well, there are some licensees that have, reached out to the government as well as to, the regulator to say, hey, what is it that can be done to assist us, right? I've spoken to some of them, and they still haven't gotten anything. Not even a response to say, okay, all right, we're going to update you by the end of the week, right? You see, we like to know the reality of the situation, whether good or bad, right? Just tell us, okay, you're not going to get any sort of assistance or any funding. Or, yes, there is a system in place for us to benefit from. But as a ganja farmer, we've always had to, find our own way.
Final question.
Sure.
From all of the challenges you've outlined and so on, with all the promise of employment, of earnings that could come in and all those kinds of wonderful things, but given the challenges and so on, do you find, or is there merit to the point that when the issue was decriminalized, it was more of a political, cultural issue, not necessarily an economic decision as well?
To tell you the truth, that's a difficult question. That's kind of
it was more
challenging.
Answering something political and maybe socially, given the history of cannabis. But there really was not an economic thought to the economic viability and ensuring that at the very start that this makes economic sense. And so you will therefore put in the kind of strictures, systems and so on to give it that.
Well, I mean, in the beginning, we created a roadmap, several roadmaps. We created business plans, right? We understand in business, things don't always go according to plan, right? There are a lot of different moving parts, right? I believe the government was sincere in the beginning in terms of first decriminalizing ganja, right? So that there was that first sincerity in order to address the human rights issue, right? The therapeutic part of it, there was also that sincerity as well, right? Because we did have, persons or patients that benefited from the use of ganja in various forms, right? To treat their conditions. We saw where Strains of Hope, guys like Josh Stanley that came here, providing genetics, meeting with, the various groups to say, hey, we can treat epilepsy, right? In children, right? That suffer from catatonic seizures, right? And he was highlighting the fact that he has his strains of hope. I believe it was coined as strains of hope, right? That rendered that sort of relief, right? And it was very heartwarming, right? And there was that sort of momentum. And then you look at the commercial viability of that, right? And other things, right? So I believe that The ball stopped or fell short when the traditional farmers and the research and developers and the other practitioners were excluded from the regulatory system. Persons that made the industry what it is, that gave Ganja, that Jamaica, that brand name.